Hello again. Welcome to Inspired Voices with Sangwadzi Spiweka Mapfumo. I meet you again and again. Our Inspired Voices, we bring different voices, different guests who talk about different things that they're doing, ordinary people who are doing extraordinary work. Last time I brought my friend Tonderai Maphosa, who was talking about his journey in with drug use for 15 years. He struggled with it, but 3 years ago he stopped, and he is now is on a different level now, doing work to support people who are also going through the same journey that he did, the same struggles that he did. And he is the founder and trustee of Anti-Drug Addiction and Abuse Trust in Zimbabwe. Welcome to the program, Tonderai. Can you hear me? Tonderai.
Thank you once again. Thank you once again. And before we get hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Keep going.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Right, all right. Right. Now, thank you so much. And just like to take time to thank you so much for your generous donation towards drug and substance abuse through the purchase of The War on Drugs, this book right here. We're going to be distributing this book so that others might also have a couple of insights, might also have a better view of what drugs really are. This is a book that I co-authored with my father, who suffered relentlessly at my addiction. But we have declared war upon the drugs, and thank you so much for your generous contribution towards that cause. Good to be back again.
Oh, fantastic. I'm really excited. I know I'm not the only one. When we screened that our last episode where you were talking about your journey, how you got started in using drugs, and the relentless effort of trying to stop, and your parents, the struggles they went with, they walked through this whole thing with you up to a time where they just didn't know what to do. I got a lot of calls from people who said, we want to hear more, because we only had 30 minutes. And again, we're going to have 30 minutes of talking about this. But I thought I'll bring you back. Let's talk about the underbelly of drugs in Zimbabwe. It's a problem. It's a big problem where nobody knows what to do. You walk around and you see all these kids who are high on different kind of drugs and alcohol, and also adults. We're having people who are dying because of drugs. They overdose, or they're just using all kinds of drugs. Last time I asked you, you told me that for 15 years you were doing this, and you were on 7 different substances, starting alcohol and
Right.
cigarettes and weed and cocaine, or whatever, everything. You were doing all this, right? Now, I wanted to
Right.
go deeper into this thing. Um, we're past talking about what you did and what you went through. You're out of it, and now you are the founder of ADAT, which I think is a fantastic organization, and would like to
Yes.
urge all those who are listening, would like to support. Do your bit. Support by just doing your little bit to support Tonderai and the work that he is doing. Talk to me about ADAT.
Right. So the Anti-Drug Addiction and Abuse Trust was really founded by myself after I realized that I needed a bigger organization in order to tackle this group. This problem, I mean. ADAT is really focused on a program that we have. It's called Souls for Christ. After realizing that the problem with the drug and substances was largely a spiritual issue. Probably we're going to talk about that in another segment of the show that we're going to have. We came together and we saw that no, we need to develop a program that is targeted at the problem. So the solution that we have to anti-drugs, based on my own experience, the holistic approach to it is using traditional methods of rehabilitation, while we run in situational rehabilitation, which is really going to where the problem is in order to alleviate the problem of the transfer of learning. We found that rehabilitation institutions, while they are good, they lack because of my experience, the help that the family also needs. So what a dad does is it caters for the family and the addict, and we really don't like calling them addicts. We like calling them victims, rather victims of the drug menace, because we found that, in my experience, I believe, like I've just mentioned, it being a spiritual problem, I was targeted. And more we look at the victims, but we also look at the family. We want the family to understand what everybody is going through. Many times on the phone, Tonderai, so and so is going through this, so and so is going through this. We found that the family also remains with the problem. So what a dad did was, we are not only going to focus on the victim of the drug menace, but the family as a whole, in order to bring a holistic approach to dealing with the problem. So that's what a dad does. It's working in communities, it works with churches, it works with families, in order really to combat the drug menace. That's what we are doing, Spirit.
I understand. I work here in Canada, and I know it's a huge problem, just like anywhere else. Even though we're talking of a country with more resources, but also the challenges are pretty much the same, and they don't really like to look at people who are struggling with drugs as victims. They because they people tend to stigmatize them, and so really those
Right,
challenges are the same. As I said, it's the same as here, but it's interesting what you're doing, and I'm really I'm interested in hearing more, because every situation is different, and here how they deal with people, who are struggling with drugs is totally different from maybe what we need
right,
to look at our own environment, which I think it's situational, which is good. To me, I think it's good how
right,
our families operate are different from the way families here operate. And what you're doing,
right,
and is looking at it from a spiritual point of view, because I do know a lot of Zimbabweans, everybody, almost really everybody, belongs to a church of some sort, and
right,
prayer group of some sort. And it seems like that's what you're trying to work on, so that you can reinforce what families are doing to support um, members of their families who might be going through that. Am I correct?
right.
So talk to me
Yes,
about how
yes.
you're doing.
All right. So what we then do is, let's take a situation where we have got a family, right? I'm just going to create a hypothetical situation where, actually, I'm going to not mention names, but I'll give an example. There's an individual who was struggling with drugs and substances. So what the family did was, they called me, Tonderai, come and help us with the situation. What we do is, we assign four resource personnel to an individual. The first person that we assign to them is a social worker. The social worker keeps tabs on the person. Next, we assign an accountability partner. What an accountability partner is, you've got that person that you need to fall back on. When I would relapse, when I would get back into drugs, I needed that person. I would tell, hey, look, Tinashe, I've gone back into drugs. I fell again. I had a little lapse again. He was there to push me. Tonderai, keep focusing on your goal. That's our accountability partner. And then we also have got a spiritual guide, which would be a pastor who helps you on that journey. We realize that you need a higher power to get out of addiction when you have failed everything else. This is in line with the 12 steps, which says you need to acknowledge the existence of a higher power greater than yourself to get out of drugs. On your own, you need to say, no, I can't do this anymore. So that guide there helps you to connect with your higher power. And then lastly, we definitely have got psychologists and medical personnel that deal with the person. Some of the situations require that type of thing. So yeah, we've got our counselors, our pastors, our accountability partners, and and um, and um, and the social workers that
Mhm.
deal with people. These four people together create the holistic approach that you require to get out of drugs. Traditionally, it was thought that you just check somebody into rehabilitation and they're going to get out. I just want to remind everybody that's there. I never for one day got into rehabilitation. When I went to Annex, when they went to check me out, I was having visions. I thought I was seeing a ghost. I thought I was a prophet. I went to Annex and I told them about my problem. You know what the doctor said to me? She said, you know what, Tonderai? There's no medication that we can give you for addiction. There is no medication to cure addiction. What they do give you is medication to deal with withdrawal symptoms
Hallucination.
that come with it. She said to me, deep, you've got to dig deep within yourself to get out of that problem. So after that, that's when I came up with this, and I said, no, let's look at the problem more holistically. Let's look at every angle that needs to be looked at in order to give the solution a more holistic approach to it. Hence, I can say that I have had considerable success with my program. To date, it's actually 100%.
You have never felt like you want to go back? I'm not saying you want to go back, but I'm just wondering. I told you my the thing with donuts, how you wanna, and you stop, and you stop for 3 months, and you're like, I wanna go get a
Beautiful
donut.
question.
You, but you've
Beautiful
never.
question. Beautiful
Mhm.
question. Beautiful question. Um, uh, in the early stages, I liken addiction or leaving drugs and substances to losing a loved one. In the first stages, Piwe, uh, anytime I would pass by somebody that's taking a cigarette, something in me
Mm.
would just be like, Tonderai, they're having so much fun, do it again. When my friends would send me videos of them smoking crystal meth, something in me would want to go back again. You see, I remember the highs so much, how I liked them so much, but when I think about the other side of the high, after the high, what I then went through, but when I think about what the highs caused me, during my highs, I contracted STIs, I lost my family, my daughter disowned me. When I think about those things that happened to me, it just gives me the power to propel forward and not want to go back again. Right. So I actively stay away from things that remind me about that. But it's been about 3 years now. In December, it'll be 4. I don't miss it at all. I don't miss it at all. I'm enjoying this
Good.
right now,
Hmm.
fighting and speaking to people about how to never get inside. So yeah, the initial stages are really hard because the triggers are there. Every time you see somebody doing that and you remember the highs, it's a battle. It's a fight which requires brute personal will to get out of.
Before I forget, I wanted to ask, what did you do at university? Are you a social worker, or it was something totally different?
Right. I went to university for a bachelor's in business administration. I majored in finance, got kicked out of university, but on the 17th of November last year, I graduated with my bachelor's in finance.
Fabulous. Because I thought maybe you did social work. That's why you kind of working with people like you are doing, but something totally different. And kudos to that. Well done. Well done. I mean, your
So thank you
story
so much.
is amazing. I mean, the journey that you've walked and where you are and the struggles. You're a fairly young man, and for you to have gone through all that and still standing, I salute. I totally salute you. Now, I want to go
Wow.
into
Wow.
back into
Wow. Thank you.
into these drugs. When you were doing drugs, where were you getting them? Because I mean, people would want to know
Right.
who is selling these drugs out in the streets. Give me a picture of what it looks like.
Right. 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 This is what it looks like. Unfortunately, in Zimbabwe, acquiring drugs has become probably the easiest thing that you're going to get. It's the easiest thing. But for me, in high fields, it was as good as going to the bus terminus and just asking anybody to point me to where drugs were. You could ask a 6-year old, a 7-year old, where am I going to buy drugs? And they point you to the house. it has become something that is happening right in the road. But I understand back in the day when our parents were growing up, it was kind of like taboo to even smoke things like marijuana road and things like that. But if I took a walk with you in the streets right now, I'm sure we'll find a couple of people smoking weed right in the road. So they're called bases, right? In some places they're called trap houses. In some places they're called dungeons. I'm sure right there where you are right now, if you took a walk out in the street and you just asked where you could get yourself a fix, somebody would point you to it. So it's become so easy, especially in Zimbabwe, to acquire drugs. Then at one point, I was actually selling drugs myself. So acquiring them is just a matter of
Where were
asking.
you
And
getting them?
drugs have a way
Where were
when
you?
you're in drugs. Suppliers all around high fields, lots and lots of suppliers. Everywhere I was, there was a supplier. In Cranbourne, there was a supplier. There still is a supplier. So these guys have got their houses, and you just can't buy straight like you're going into a supermarket and you get your drugs. That's how easy it is to get drugs.
But where do you think they're coming from? Because I mean, it's not something that is with weed. I can understand. Like I told you, I'm from Mutoko, and that's the weed land. I mean,
Right,
where this
right, right,
everybody keeps saying,
right,
all the best weed comes from Mutoko. I can understand that, but because it's grown over there, it's a cash crop, so to speak. Then people just buy to sell, and But what about the other illicit
right,
drugs
right,
like crystal meth? Where is it coming from, and who is
right.
selling them?
This is coming from someone who told me that they would bring them in from Pakistan. They would bring them in from South Africa. They would bring them in from the Middle East. That's where they would come in from. And very recently now, there's meth labs. People actually cooking these things at home. But you see, in our situation, Zimbabwe, we do not have a wall around our borders. So it is so easy for drugs to get busts, trucks found with drugs. But the porous nature of our borders make recently again there was a news article saying drugs out of Africa and getting them out into other countries. So yeah, it's they're coming in from everywhere. I know crystal meth is made far away, but this one particular lady was actually a drug mule. She would bring in drugs from Pakistan, right? Let the customs. She knew everybody, and it was that easy. It was that easy. It's become so bad. It takes a bribe for me to bring in stuff that's going to kill a lot of people over here. Somebody will just go quiet about it. And the sadder side about it is that there's a lot of high-ranking officials that are involved in this. So you arrest someone today, it's a catch and release. It's
Yeah.
a catch and release system. Someone is selling drugs, they're connected to the proper people, they're in for a day or two, and then they ride out again because this is a billion, if not $1 trillion industry. Those that get caught just get released because they've got the money to get released. So they're coming in from everywhere. They're coming in from everywhere. Others are cooking them, others are importing them, and yeah, they're coming in from
How much
everywhere.
are they? I
My
mean,
supplier was a high-ranking police officer.
yeah. How much are they? How do they sell them in sachets? Do they sell them in? Is it a powder? Is it what is it like? I have no idea. I know weed is weed is it's but then the other ones like crystal meth. What does it look? Is it like a rock or powder?
Right. As the name would suggest, crystal meth. The closest thing I can resemble it to is coarse salt. If you know the coarse salt, yeah, and sure that salty magodo. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what it looks like. It's like crystals of salt. That's what it looks like. Uh, Cocaine is a powder. It looks like it's powder, like fine white powder. That's what cocaine would look like. Um, Codeine, we used to take it in liquid form. That was cough syrup. Bronclia, yeah, it came in the form of bronclia, so that's a cough syrup. And then cat again was a powder that I'd sniff through the nose. Yeah, so those are the forms which looks a lot like coarse salt.
Now, okay, talk to me. What are some of these? I know a lot of families, everybody's worried that their kids could get into it, and they're starting like from 12 and then, getting into this kind of stuff. What are the signs and symptoms? How can
Right,
they tell
right,
that what's there to watch out for?
right. Uh, Once again, I just have to thank you for that brilliant question again, Spiwe. You need to watch out for changes. Now more than ever, you have got to be very much involved in the lives of your children, right? We're in an age where, hey, leave me alone, but it's not that age anymore. Dear parents, be careful. These are just some telltale signs that I can identify. Number one, you want to look at your kids' friends. Look at your kids' friends. If your children are playing with people that are smoking, with people that are abusing drugs, people that are doing all sorts of stuff, high chances are birds of the same feather are going to flock together.
But Tonderai, how do you
Number
know?
two,
Because you can
a
tell
change
kids
in
who
character.
smoke and stuff. What are changes? Some of those changes that one has to observe, because drinking water or what? I don't know, because I mean normally kids, you don't they're kids. What you see is what you're seeing, and what they do behind your back, that's something else. Yes, you're right. People have to invest in their children and
Exactly.
see what's going on
Exactly.
with their life.
Change in
But
character.
are there any signs and symptoms that this
Exactly.
child? Mhm.
Yes, they are. There are some, and then we're getting to those. You need to look at changes in character. A child that was normally really happy, outgoing, has become withdrawn, has become isolated, right? Tondera used to love bathing a lot. He doesn't like bathing anymore. He's neglecting himself. His bloodshot eyes. Child, their timetables have changed. They were coming in at away, declining grades in school, all those things, demeanor, theft, right? Theft. I've got one which I call the change test. A nice kid, if you send them out to go and buy bread, bread costs 90 cents. A proper kid is going to come back with that 10 cents and say, hey, here's the change again. If that change is not coming back again, where is it going, right? So you need to monitor things like that. They become rude, they become unfriendly, they become, all those are signs that you can look to in a child. But to that, I remember hello.
Yeah, continue. Yeah,
All
we have
right.
a
Yeah.
glitch.
Right. Not bathing. So you want to look at that. Those are telltale signs that you're going to find as well in the book. They're not bathing. They're not kempt. Bloodshot eyes. They're stealing. They're not being honest. There's drastic changes in timetable. There is associates, friends that you've not seen before that you're seeing. Those are some signs and symptoms that something is wrong. Usually, when there is a semblance of something wrong, there is something wrong.
On that note, Thank you so much, Tonderai. I would hate for this because it was starting to go give me glitches and I don't want it. This has been fantastic. And thank you so much. And to all those who are following us, please subscribe, like, and share this. As you can see at the bottom here, there's a number there. If there's anybody who needs some help, get in touch with Tonderai on 263-776-837088. The number is at the bottom. So please get in touch with him. And Tonderai, thank you so much. I appreciate this. This
Thank you
is
so
very
much.
important, and a lot of people are benefiting from this. Adat is doing a great job. For anybody who wants to donate or to support the work that Tonderai is doing, please get in touch with them and do just that. Buy his book, it go a long way. Thank you so much,
Thank
Tonderai.
you. Thank you so much, Spiwe. Have a good
Okay.
one.